Hare Krishna. Dhanpanam Pratish Prabhu. Vishwanath Prabhu, thank you for leading the chanting this morning. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our morning Japa Sangha and reading. We'll continue with our prayers and reading of Prabhupada Lilamrit. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody would like to sing her prayer today? Amresh Prabhu, you want to try?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
विभावरी शेषा आलोक प्रवेशा निद्राचारी उठो जीवा बोल हरि हरि मुकुंद मुरारी राम कृष्ण हयग्रीवा नृसिंह वामन श्रीमधुसूदन ब्रजेन्द्र नंदन श्यामा पूतना घाटन कैटवसातन जय दशरथि राम यशोदा दुलाल गोविंद गोपाल वृंदावन पुरंदर गोपी प्रिया जन राधिकर मन भुवन सुंदर वर रावणंतकर माखन तस्कर गोपी जन वस्त्रहारी ब्रजेंद्र राखला गोपवृंदापाल चित्तहरि वंशीधारी योगेन्द्र वंदन श्रीनंदनंदन व्रज जना भय हारी नवीन नीराद रूप मनोहर मोहन वंशी विहारी यशोदानंदन कंस निषूदन निकुंज रास विलासी कादंब कानन रास परायण वृंदाविपीन निवासी आनंदवर्धन प्रेमानिकेतन फूल सराज काम गोपांगना गान चित्त विनोदन समस्त गुण गान धाम यमुना जीवन केली परायण मानस चंद्र चकोर नाम सुधारस गाओ कृष्ण जस रखो वचन मन मोर विभावरी शेषा आलोक प्रवेशा निद्राचारी उठो जीवा बोलो हरि हरि मुकुंद मुरारी राम कृष्ण हय ग्रीवा राम कृष्ण हय ग्रीवा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amresh Prabhu. श्री नाम कीर्तन की जय, श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. That was so beautiful. Almost you transported us to the Vrajadham. It almost felt like a saint singing in Vrajadham. Everybody's listening. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to read translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Yes, Aarti Mataji, go ahead, please.
The night has come to an end, and the light of dawn is entering. O chief soul, arise and give up your sleep. Chant the holy names of Lord Hari, who is the giver of liberation, the enemy of the Mura demon, the supreme enjoyer, the all attractive one, and the horse headed incarnation, Hayagriva. Lord Hari, Krishna, incarnated as the half man, half lion, Narsimha. He appeared as a dwarf Brahmana named Upendra and is the killer of the Madhu demon. He is the beloved son of the king of Praja, Nanda Maharaj, and is blackish in complexion. He is the slayer of Putna witch, and the destroyer of the demon Ketava. All glories to Lord Hari, who appeared as Lord Rama, the son of King Dashratha. He is the darling of Mother Yashoda, the giver of pleasure to the cows, land, and spiritual senses, and the protector of the cows. He is the lord of the Vrindavan forest, the gopis' beloved, the lover of Radhika, and the most beautiful personality in all the worlds. As Ramachandra, he brought about the end of the demonic king Ravan. As Krishna, he stole the older gopis' butter. He stole the younger gopis' clothes while they were bathing in the Yamuna. He is a cowherd boy of Praja and the protector of the cowherd boys. He steals the hearts of all and always holds a flute. Lord Krishna is worshipped by the best of yogis and is the son of Nanda. He removes all the fears of the inhabitants of Praja. He is the color of a fresh rain cloud and his form is enchanting. When he wanders about playing his flute, he looks very charming. He is the son of Yashoda and the killer of King Kamsa, and he sports in the Rasa danza among the troops of Raja. Krishna engages in the Rasa dance underneath the Kadamba trees, and he resides in the forest of Vrindavan. He increases the ecstasy of his devotees. He is the reservoir of all love and is the transcendental Cupid who uses his flowered arrows to increase the loving desires of the gopis. He is the pleasure of the gopis' hearts and the abode of all wonderful qualities. Lord Krishna is the life of the river Yamuna. He is always absorbed in amorous pastimes, and he is the moon of the gopis' mind, which are like the chakor birds that subsist only upon moonlight. O mind, obey these words of mine and sing the glories of Sri Krishna in the form of these holy names, which are full of nectarian mellows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Aarti Mataji. Yes, these holy names are full of nectarian mellows. That's why we keep singing the same Mahamantra again and again and again. Because right now we don't have the taste. But again, we just have to have full firm faith in the words of Acharyas that these holy names are all that we have and they are full of nectarian mellows. We keep chanting and repeating, chanting and repeating. It's an exercise for the mind because ultimately we're just trying to purify the mind. And then once the mind is purified, then we will start relishing the taste of the holy name. So all this wonderful Nam Kirtan is teaching us the different wonderful names of the Lord. We can remember the different pastimes of the Lord while chanting the holy names. So similarly, when we chant the holy names, when we chant the Mahamantra, it does the same thing. It purifies our mind and it helps us remember the pastimes of the Lord, like Prabhupada was thinking yesterday, or when he was going in the car. A devotee is always so pure and spiritualized and sanctified, like Hridayananda Goswami Maharaj was thinking that as soon as Prabhupada entered the car, became fragrant because he had the sandalwood paste, which the Gopi Chandan, and everything was so fresh and so pristine. Prabhupada, and because of the flower garlands and the tilak and the sandalwood paste, everything was so spiritualized and so sanctified, and he could smell the scent coming from Prabhupada's fragrant body. And Prabhupada was saying again there that Harinam, Harinam, Harinam Eva Kevalam. So when we say this prayer again, it is with emphasis, right? We say something once, twice, not twice, but thrice. That means there is strong emphasis. Like if some child is going to a different country, like when we came to America, for example, remember how our mothers' hearts were paining, right? She was so um, they would be so emotional, and they'll say, okay, make sure you call, right, and make sure you talk to me, or remember, I've packed these things for you, right? So like that, when we travel to a different country, and our mothers are so worried and so caring, and they tell us something repeatedly, do this, do this, do this, right? It's not once. Sometimes we forget. They'll say, okay, do this and do this. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to call me. Don't forget to do this, right? So she has multiple times. That means there is so much of love and emphasis on that point that we don't forget. So like that, Harir Nam, Harir Nam, Harir Nam, Eva Kevalam. So when we came to this material world, it is like our divine spiritual parents, which is Krishna and Radha. They have sent us here, or we chose to come here, but they remind us again in forms of acharyas, in forms of guru, that Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, with emphasis. So that is the glory of the holy name. And yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Ek Sif Ek Krishna Naam Kare Sarva Pap Kshay, Naveda Bhakti Purna, Naam Hai Tehai. And out of all the different process of devotion service, the chanting of the holy names is the best. Bhajanera Madhya, Shreshta, Navada Bhakti, the 9 forms of bhakti, and Krishna Prema, Krishna Dite Dhari Mahashakti. So it has the most potency, this Navada Bhakti process. And in the Navada Bhakti process also, we say, Ek Krishna Naam Kare Sarva Papakshay, Navavida Bhakti Purna Naam Hai Tehai. So all the 9 forms of devotional services can be attained just by chanting one pure holy name. But again, that one pure holy name can remove everything, but that requires practice and patience. You have to keep chanting and chanting and chanting, right? Just like in Olympic, giving an example in Olympics, a medalist, a gold medalist, they may be good at either swimming, that one stroke, that one last stroke that a swimmer does can give him the gold medal. Or one archer who does one shot of bow and arrow, he may get a gold medal. So everybody sees that one stroke or one, shooting. But behind that one shot, there have been lakhs, millions and millions of hours of practice, right, that has gone. And so similarly, keep chanting the holy name, keep chanting the holy name, keep chanting the holy name. There will be a time when they'll be able to chant that one Shuddha Naam with which you will attain love of God. So that should be our goal. That's what Prabhupada is teaching through his books as he's taking the tour of BBT, Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. And he'll also say that Bhakti Vina, there is nothing else. Bhakti is the only transcendental thing. So let's continue seeing what Prabhupada has to teach us today. In Los Angeles, California, taking a tour of BBT. As BBT manager, Rameshwar went to Srila Prabhupada when the BBT could no longer afford to print the hardbound Krishna book in 2 volumes. Since Srila Prabhupada had already authorized the paperback version's 3 volumes, Rameshwar hoped he would give permission to print the hardbound in 3 volumes also. Otherwise, Rameshwar could see no way they could afford to reprint the Krishna book in 2 volumes, and the book would have to go out of print. Since Srila Prabhupada replied that he had originally planned Krishna book in 2 volumes. He didn't want to change it. Rameshwar presented the economic arguments. Because of an oil embargo, the printing industry had suffered badly. Prices had gone up 50%. The BBT already had a contract with Dai Nippon to reprint the book. They had already bought the paper, so they were obliged to go ahead. Yet Dai Nippon had just raised their prices and would not honor their original contracts. After discussing the various economic difficulties for over an hour, Srila Prabhupada unhappily consented to reprint the hardbound Krishna book in 3 volumes. Rameshwar then mentioned that Dai Nippon had said the book would be much cheaper if the BBD printed it the same size as the Srimad Bhagavatam instead of the larger size. When Srila Prabhupada heard that, he banged his fist on the desk. He had planned it in that size. Nothing would change it. He would hear no more of it. He then told Rameshwar to leave the room. Staggering down the stairs, Rameshwar realized that he had just been thrown out of the room by his spiritual master. But he also felt ecstatic in appreciation of Srila Prabhupada. For the first time, he began to appreciate how meticulously Srila Prabhupada planned every detail of his books. Not only did Prabhupada carefully prepare the translations and purports, but he also considered the market, the cover pictures, everything about the book Prabhupada had considered deeply. As a humble servant, Rameshwar was surprised and awestruck as he began to understand how deeply Prabhupada was involved in all decisions regarding his books. Rameshwar. One time, I was up in Prabhupada's room and we were talking again about BBT printing. It was an involved conversation, but suddenly, right in the middle of it, Prabhupada's prasadam arrived. Placed by his servant on a little table, Prabhupada ate from in his bedroom. As soon as the prasadam arrived, Prabhupada rose from his seat, moved to that room, sat down, and became totally immersed, almost like in a trance of honoring Krishna's prasadam. It was so transcendental. It was as if I suddenly ceased to exist. Prabhupada did not say even a word. It was just the prasadam, and Prabhupada became absorbed in Krishna. So I very quietly offered my obeisances and hurriedly left the room. During this visit, Srila Prabhupada saw the first completed diorama by the artists engaged in doll making. In 1973, he had requested several of his disciples to visit India and learn the ancient art of making lifelike figures from earth and straw. He wanted to create artistic exhibits showing the pastimes of Sri Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, as well as scenes depicting the Krishna conscious philosophy, such as the transmigration of the soul and karma. Prabhupada's disciples, Bharadwaj, Adidev, and others had gone to Bengal and had with great endeavor mastered the art of creating these dolls. Now, returning to Los Angeles, they had set up a studio for mass production and had finished their first diorama, a miniature of Lord Krishna and Arjuna on the chariot at the Battle of Kurukshetra. Prabhupada entered the artist's studio, followed as usual by as many people as could fit into the room. He stood before the diorama. The models were exquisite, the figures as realistic in detail as figures in the best wax museum, and they were dressed and bejeweled like temple deities. The horses and chariots were startlingly lifelike. The scene was that depicted on the cover of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada's response was spontaneous delight. His face broke into an ecstatic smile. The horses are more beautiful than Krishna, Prabhupada commented. There was a groan from the devotees. That is because they are servants of Krishna, he said, smiling. Later, Srila Prabhupada instructed the Los Angeles leaders to give the doll makers full financial support. His spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had been very keen to create such doll exhibits on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and that was how Srila Prabhupada had received the idea. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had also been willing to spend big sums of money to put a large collection of dolls on exhibit in Calcutta. In collecting for his project, he had introduced a system of keeping his temples in debt. He would get his disciples to collect for a specific project, but when they gave him the money, he would spend it on dioramas. Then he would again return to these same disciples and request money for the same project they had already collected for. But we gave it to you, Guru Maharaj. No, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied. That which you gave me has already been spent on dioramas. Now I need it for the original purpose. He had been convinced that these artistic exhibits could attract and convert people in the West, and so Srila Prabhupada was intent to open diorama museums and exhibits all over the world. Srila Prabhupada spent 2 days in Los Angeles. It was the ideal center for his headquarters, with the largest number of his disciples in one city, many of whom were also leaders in book distribution. No other center at that time had as many departments and expansive projects. His own living quarters were also comfortable, a pleasantly decorated 3-room apartment and a private garden with many varieties of aromatic flowers. He enjoyed sitting in that garden in the early evening with just a few disciples while one of them read aloud from the Krishna book. The climate of Southern California was also to Srila Prabhupada's liking. And as for the temple worship of the deities, Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Srila Prabhupada considered the standard, perhaps the highest of all the centers in his ISKCON, and yet he could only spend a few days before moving on. Krishna has given me hundreds of nice places of residence, Srila Prabhupada laughed, but his order is you cannot stay. Prabhupada was explaining his transcendental predicament to a few disciples gathered in his room on the last day of his visit in Los Angeles. I'll tell you one humorous story in this connection, which is a little long, Prabhupada said, and he appeared to hesitate. I don't wish to divert your attention, but it is an interesting story that is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Aniketana. One may have many nice places to live. Still, he should think, I have no place to live. That is one of the spiritual items. What is that story? Hamsaduta asked, and the other devotees laughed. They were eager to hear the story and didn't want Prabhupada to avoid it. Prabhupada smiled. The story is, he said, that there was a joker. His name was Gopala Ban. He was the joker of a king, Raja Krishna. You know that place, Krishnanagar, near Mayapur? He was the king of that place. So the kings used to keep a joker to please them by words. So this joker, Gopala Ban, was constructing a new building for himself. It was almost finished, but there was as yet no opening ceremony. So the Raja advised one of his friends, if you can go and pass stool in that new house of Gopalas, then I will give you so much prize. Go and pass stool there. Prabhupada chuckled. So the man said, yes, I will do it. So one day the man made his plan. As he was passing the new house, all of a sudden he entered. Gopal, I am very much called by nature. Kindly show me where I can pass stool. Gopal was intelligent and he could understand there was some trick. Yes, yes, Gopal said. There is the lavatory. Come here. You can use it. But then he made so many conditions. The door must be opened so you may pass stool. But I will see that you are passing stool. How is that possible? The man asked. Can I use it or not? No, it is possible. Gopal said. You can pass stool here, but you cannot pass urine. If you pass urine, then I shall kill you. So passing stool, Prabhupada commented, without passing urine, how is it possible? You have come to pass stool, Gopal said, and I will allow you. That you can do here, but don't pass a drop of urine. Prabhupada laughed heartily and said, so that is my position. Krishna says, you may have hundreds of centers and places, but you cannot live anywhere. That is Krishna's order. It is a plan not to become attached. Devotee, just like Narada Muni got that curse from Lord Brahma. Prabhupada, yes, not Lord Brahma, but Daksharaj. He cursed Narada Muni that he cannot stay anywhere more than 3 minutes. Narada Muni's business is preaching. So every one of us, we have to become disciples of Narada Muni. And thus, Srila Prabhupada, the greatest living disciple of Narada Muni, made plans to travel next to Mexico and then to Venezuela on his world tour for preaching Krishna consciousness. His disciple in charge of South America, Hridayananda Maharaj, had joined Prabhupada in Hawaii and come with him to Los Angeles to ensure Prabhupada's keeping his promise to visit South America. So Prabhupada's promise was firm. As he said, Lord Krishna had arranged it that he should go constantly from place to place. And wherever he went, Prabhupada tended expertly the delicate creepers of devotional service, growing in the hearts of his disciples. He also stoked the fires of Krishna consciousness and fanned them into blazes. And in each place, he left behind more dedicated followers than before. He gave further orders to be executed, and he redefined and clarified directions for guiding and expanding his Krishna consciousness movement. February 1975. Srila Prabhupada returned to Mexico in February of 1975. During the 3 years that had passed since his first visit, more centers had opened in the Caribbean and South America. In Trinidad, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, American disciples had worked with local devotees to establish centers. Also in Caracas and Buenos Aires, many people had contacted Prabhupada's disciples and begun chanting and reading his books. In 1974, Srila Prabhupada appointed Hridayananda Goswami the governing body commissioner for all of Latin America. And from that point, the Krishna consciousness movement in Latin America began rapidly expanding. Prabhupada wrote to his newly appointed GBC secretary, just as Hansaduta and Bhagavan have gone to foreign countries and arranged for a solid program of translation, printing, and distribution of my books by Sankirtan Party, so you will also find the devotees in South America willing to help you in this noble project, which is for the benediction of the suffering humanity. My Guru Maharaj stressed the printing and distribution of literature, even over gorgeous temple construction. And I also was printing even before I had big temples in the US. So you may follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas while always strictly following the regulative principles for spiritual strength. With Vishal Prabhupada's blessings and with intense youthful energy, Hridayananda Goswami traveled constantly from one South American country to another, preaching the message of Srila Prabhupada and organizing the distribution of his books in Spanish and Portuguese. Srila Prabhupada was pleased to hear of his disciples' progress. Okay, I think we'll pause here. Progress, that is what happens. By practice, we make progress and it becomes permanent in our heart. So there is no perfection. We cannot attain perfection, but we can certainly attain progress and permanence of practice through practice. So yeah, very nice today. This pastime of Prabhupada traveling and preaching constantly. And very nice example he shared of that story. So similarly, yeah, all the Prabhupada's traveling and he's helping the creepers of devotional service grow in the hearts of his disciples, fanning the spark, rekindling the spark and making it into a blazing fire of devotional service, as he said. It reminded me of that day when Anantaji Prabhu was there at the center. He was saying the same thing. Radheshyam Prabhu is giving me so many items. My to-do list is just growing and growing. I just cannot keep up. By the time I talk to him about one thing, there are already 50 other things to do. So like that, Prabhupada is very lovingly increasing the pleasure of devotional service in the heart of his devotees. And like Prabhupada says again and again that our life is just to serve Krishna 24/7. And if our goal is like that, then maybe we'll be able to serve, 10 hours, 12 hours. But if our goal is just to do for, 2 hours, 3 hours, then even that 2 hours, 3 hours, we may not be doing very attentively, right? So the goal should be to increase as much as possible so that, we are able to get to some good level of intensity and good level of full attention in our devotion services. Anything that we do in life, even in materialistic life, everything that we do, if we do with attention, full devotion, then we become successful, right? Any material, like we were giving examples of Olympic sports people, or it can be business people, or it can be anybody in academic life. We have to have full focus and attention. When we do anything with full focus and attention, then we are able to get steadiness in that, and we're able to achieve success. So like that, whatever we do, we have to have that attention, especially in spiritual practices. So yeah, nice pastimes. And it's good to see Ishwari Radha Mataji, who was talking about Latin America. So good to see that she was here today. And I think she may have left right now. But yeah, we have Lalita Prasad Prabhu and Ishwari Radha Mataji. And Lalita Prasad Prabhu was one of the disciples from Latin America, Srila Prabhupada. And yes, it is always wonderful to see all these different disciples from all over the world. Sometimes I think like, how wonderful it is that we have this congregation all over the world. Wherever we travel, we can find ISKCON centers where we can go to, we can have prasadam, we can have loving exchanges with the devotees. There's so much of love, like Prabhupada has planted this love in everybody's heart, and that love naturally comes out whenever we meet devotees in different cities, different countries. And what would life have been if, imagine like, when we are in this world, and even if we're at work, like if you are alone as a devotee, nobody else around you as a devotee. Imagine in the whole world if there was only, hardly anybody, just us, one person, how lonely and how sad we would be. Right, so that's why Krishna has planted, his dear devotees. Like Prabhupada is giving that example. The horses are looking more better than more spiritually happy than Krishna. And then somebody says because they are Prabhupada says because they are devotees of Krishna. Right, so devotees of Krishna are always joyful, blissful. And Krishna is the source of that joy and bliss, of course, right? So we get the joy and bliss from Krishna, and because we have so many devotees around the world, we get so much of joy and bliss in practicing Krishna consciousness in the association of the devotees. Yeah, and these dioramas also, like Prabhupada was giving the example that his Guru Maharaj was the one who gave him. He received this particular instruction from his Guru Maharaj. So, and there's these dioramas are there in most of the ISKCON temples around the world that we travel to, especially in the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. There is this exhibition just across from Prabhupada's Samadhi. And yeah, it's so wonderful that, people, even when I saw it for the first time, I was like, even after being in the movement for so many years, when you see those dioramas, it just makes such a nice connection in your heart. You can actually see visually, how this transmigration of the soul is happening. You can have darshan of the Lord. You can have the darshan of the Leela, different pastimes of the Lord, the Govardhan Leela, um, um, Shivji in the Gopi Swarupa, right? So like that, there's so many dioramas all over the world. Prabhupada, walking into Jaladuta, picking up his briefcase, that all that he had with him, and his umbrella, and walking into the Jaladuta. So all these are depicted through dioramas. It is so beautiful in the Krishna Balaram temple, and we have in Radha Parthasarthi temple in Delhi, and so many temples in Delhi. Delhi has more than almost 20 temples, and yeah, all the different temples of ISKCON have these dioramas, and it's even here in New Vrindavan we go to. So yeah, all around the Parikrama Marg in New Vrindavan, we have these beautiful pictures of the different leelas and pastimes of the Lord. So all of these things, imagine, when a new person, again, a new person we say is a new person, but the spark of devotion service has been there in all the jivas. It is there in our heart, right? Like we say that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhi Kabunaya Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karayodaya. So just by chanting, hearing, remembering the pastimes of the Lord, the natural devotion service which is dormant in our heart, in each one of our heart, awakens. We don't have to do any fancy things, right? Just basic Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, just doing the ninefold process of devotion service, it awakens. So when a new person, when you say a new devotee who comes to the temple, again, they may be carrying the spark from their previous life. It takes one spark, one diorama to look at, one picture to look at, one book, one sentence from Srila Prabhupada's book to read, and suddenly that spark that is already there in the heart catches fire, right? So like that, it's so powerful. And all these art, like Prabhupada was saying yesterday, everything can be used in Krishna service. Everything has actually come to us because of our austerities in our previous lives. Through some austerities, we have gained all the talents and skills that we have today, whether it be singing, like Amresh Prabhu was singing in the beginning, whether it be drawing, painting, coloring, all these dioramas. And so all these, whether the theater performance, like Prabhupada says again and again. So all of these are very, very important, and we can utilize each of these forms of art in the service of the Lord. And that is the perfection of utilizing our skills and talents. Okay, Haribol. All right, anybody else would like to say or share anything that you loved from today's reading? Anybody? Amresh Prabhu, since when have you been singing bhajans? I'm guessing from your childhood.
Nah, it's not like that. It's just, um, yeah, I mean, in our house, actually, we have my sister is a classical singer, and also it's kind of probably a little bit there.
Nice. Yes, all these talents are God's gift to you, and it's so nice that you're able to utilize that talent. I'm sure, and like the other day when you were saying when we were at Nalen Prabhu's house, you're saying that your wife was saying that you keep singing in the night before you go to bed, and that also inspires your son. So that is amazing. That is the gift that you can pass on to your next generation, right? So
Yes,
with, with your sincerity, and when you do something as parent, when we do some things, and then the Krish and our kids actually observe and they learn so much from that. And he
absolutely.
grows up, I'm sure he will remember all those things that you did. So thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? Okay. All right, then we'll pause here. Thank you for your wonderful association together. Association, as we said, is the foremost thing in association of devotees. We all can make progress with each other's blessings. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णवृन्द की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hare Hare Bol.
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.